I am Stephanie Oden. So nice to meet you. And I am thrilled to be sharing with you in this launch episode, Introverted AFF, some things about my journey as an introvert achiever, because I know I'm not the only one. I know there are other quiet achievers out there. I'm going to share some personal stories, share some things from my own journey and path as an introvert growing up. Don't worry, I'm not going to talk about that every time. Going through different career experiences and as an entrepreneur. And my hope is that as I share these, you will be able to connect with me and understand that I face similar challenges and triumphs as many of you, as many of my fellow quiet achievers. I'm also here to undeniably shatter the myth that introverts are shy and timid and needing to be fixed. I hope you enjoy this episode. Welcome to the Quiet Impact Podcast, where we nurture the journey of introverts who desire to achieve greater levels of influence, income, and impact. The go-to podcast for introvert achievers just like you, seeking purpose-driven growth. I am your host, Stephanie Oden. Have you ever desired to have a mentor whisper success secrets into your ear? One with firsthand experience as a six-figure corporate leader, expertise in entrepreneurship, and is an introvert? Tune into each episode where we will provide valuable insights into how introverts can effectively navigate life with full-time jobs, pursue career success, and delve into entrepreneurship. We will explore various business and career topics related to self-discovery, achieving success, and finding joy in the journey. My guest and I share real-life experiences, strategies, tools, and resources that will encourage personal and professional growth, self-empowerment, and living an authentic, purposeful life. Let's get into today's episode. I am Stephanie Oden, and I want to welcome you again to the Quiet Impact Podcast. And this is the jump out there, rip the Band-Aid off. This is the first episode. And if you like me, come back. I'm going to get better. If you don't like me yet, come back. I'm going to get better. This first episode is really to let you know a little bit about me and why I started this podcast with all the other podcasts out there. The first episode is Introverted AFF. Absolutely fabulous and feisty. Hashtag winning. I'm not shy. I'm not timid. I'm not needing to be fixed. I am an introvert, and that is my superpower. I stand in champion and collaborative effort for quiet achievers. Why is that? I had a chance to spend some time in my childhood home in Georgia and in my room. It brought back memories. I smiled as I reflected on how my mom knew that sending me to my room was more of a reward than a punishment for me. So she actually had me sit amongst them, right? There was no such thing as time out when I was growing up. If you know, you know. But I'd have to sit in the room with all the people. That was punishment. I do remember, though, that during my youth and as a young adult, that feeling a lot of introverts have or have felt, that feeling of not fitting in, of being drained by social interactions and needing quiet time, but that the teachers and sometimes others didn't get that. I had one teacher, I think she got me, right? The reward, if you got all your work done, the reward was you got to go sit in the red bathtub and read. OMG! Like that was like introvert's dream right there, to be able to get to that bathtub. So best believe I was driven to be the one, because only one person can sit in the bathtub. you know, I was driven to get in that bathtub. That was just one example of, how I know she got me. Like she got me. At the same time, all the experiences weren't like that. There was constant thoughts that something was wrong with me. I felt ashamed of my personality and thought if I could just fix my flaws, I'd be more accepted. Now, I didn't know the fancy terms like introvert and extrovert, right? All I knew was that there was this deep sense of loneliness uh, and low self-confidence, and it was really a kind of loneliness that you only experience when you feel like you don't belong and you never will. And as I come to realize later with more knowledge and awareness, part of that was how I was wired, but I didn't know that back then. And even as a successful corporate leader, I was one of those six figures, company car, and all of those things. They called it high potential, but you couldn't tell anybody you were high potential. But anyway, even at that point, the leadership training suggestions for me every year would include, even though I was doing great, right? Even though my team was thriving, it would include suggestions for me to be more outgoing, AKA more extroverted. And although I deepened my skills as a leader, there was also that subconscious reinforcement that something was wrong with me. And as I share more, as we get to know each other better, as a result, when I launched my entrepreneurial journey, my self belief was a collapsed mixture of high achiever with a lid of a limiting belief that I thought were part of my introvert nature. Like I had collapsed those limiting beliefs with, okay, I'm an introvert, but I had collapsed those two. And that's one of the things that I see with my coaching clients and with my brand partners as a part of some of my other experiences is there's this collapsed belief of things that are uniquely make you an introvert and other things that don't, that they're really limiting beliefs. And if you're not sure what that is, let me explain that. You may have heard it. Let me explain that in the context of how I would frame it. It's a mental block or negative mindset that prevents you from reaching your full potential. And it's all ingrained from past experiences or societal conditionings. Remember, I explained to you like every year, even though I was doing good, they told me I needed to be more outgoing, or some of these personal insecurities. What's interesting is, according to Myers-Briggs, they're the ones that do the assessment that looks at introvert versus extrovert. According to them, more than 50%, it's around 56% of the US population prefers introversion. What? And the other thing that goes with that, which is not as good, is when introverts and extroverts were asked who had the most advantages in a social setting, both corporate and social, both introverts and extroverts are more likely to see an advantage for extroverts than introverts. I don't like that. I don't like that. I'm seeking to change that. There's perceived advantages. Again, I talked about that societal conditioning. There's perceived advantages that lead to that conditioning. That's not true. I noticed this and I'm going to change it. As part of this journey, and I'll share more in future episodes about my journey into entrepreneurship and navigating the world of business as an introvert, the challenges, the triumphs, my insights of other thought leaders in the industry that are doing it as introverts I call us quiet achievers. One of the reasons why I coined that term, even quiet achievers, is because I didn't invent the term, but I've captured the term, is because a lot of times, even for introverts, the word introvert has a negative connotation, societal conditioning. And it's more than that. Like, I looked at some of the things that I've done in my life that you would never say were traditional introvert. One example, some of you may not remember this, but there was an original version of Annie with Carol Burnett. And they had call outs that were going to be held in Atlanta, Georgia. I submitted an application and got accepted to audition for a part in the Annie. Now, funny thing is, I didn't sing very well. I could act, but I didn't sing very well. But that's daring, right? Who does that? What you can't be an introvert. You put yourself out there. But that's something that is not traditional. That doesn't mean that we sit quietly on the sidelines of life. It just means that that's something that we do and how we're wired. And for us, the more we embrace our strengths, the more powerful we'll be. A little bit more about me. I have a few hobbies. I'm a mom of adult children. I'll share more of that about that in the coming episodes and that journey and things I've learned. I'm not an expert on parenthood by any means, but I can share my experiences. What's it like being an introvert and having introvert children? What's it like being married and having a extroverted spouse? I'll also have guests on here as well, and they'll share their experiences. I want to talk about health, things that are important relative to that. Now, I work out, but I don't work out to be skinny. Literally, I move so that I can live. I'm at the point where a win is being able to stand up without falling, stand up, get dressed without falling over, right? I also enjoy traveling. Cruise vacations are my favorite, and I'm looking to explore more places. Now, why did I embark on this podcast journey? My vision is to create a space where introverts, quiet achievers feel seen, they feel heard, and they feel empowered to embrace their unique strengths and pursue their dreams with confidence. I know a lot of people have this preconceived idea that all of the introverts are timid wallflowers who speak in whisper tones and they tiptoe through life. And while some of us are calm, that's the other thing that I love about how we're all wired in general. If you just look at Myers-Briggs that I mentioned earlier, there's 8 subsets of introverts. We may dig into that a little bit more in one of the episodes. 8. So even in that, we all have different ways that our introversion plays out. And some of us have that more timid nature. That doesn't make it bad. Timid isn't a bad word, or more reserved. I won't say timid, I'll say more reserved nature, but our beast mode when you put us in front of our passions. I encourage you to embrace that fierceness, right? Even if sometimes it seems at odds with your gentle nature. You get to decide. You are allowed to shatter other people's expectations, especially your own. Like, you can keep surprising yourself. You can keep saying, good job, self. One of the things I will put out there in front of you is this notion of, comfort zone. There's a lot of people who talk about the comfort zone, and you've heard this. No, nothing ever happens within your comfort zone. It's get out of your comfort zone. I don't agree with that. There is a place as an introvert that's between your comfort zone, and your oh crap zone that you're completely paralyzed and unable to do anything. And that's called your growth zone. And that's the place I choose to hang out. You know, that's why I encourage my coaching clients and my partners that I work with in my side hustle to hang out in that growth zone. Because what happens between my before story and my after story, it was moments in my growth zone that I kept expanding my growth into my growth zone. And by doing that, it becomes a new comfort zone. And when I look at my after story, it's all about embracing how I am wired and how it has really catapulted me to be more authentic. I listen more to my intuition, and I care less about what other people think now. I feel less guilty, and I extend more compassion to myself. And overall, I feel like I'm living more with more purpose. If you feel like you're in the before part of your story, join me. Come hang out with me. I think you'll like it here. Introverted AFF. Absolutely fabulous and feisty. Hashtag winning. We'll see you on the next episode. Thank you for joining me today. It has been an absolute pleasure. Remember to head to my website and get your copy of Success Pillars for Quiet Achievers ebook, and you get instant access to that. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and join us next week when we will talk about the pitfalls and potholes of moving forward towards your goal while walking backwards. You will want to hear the tips that I share on how to use the rearview mirror concept to empower your glance backs. And thank you so much for watching, listening, and subscribing.